Alrighty, good evening, everybody. Tuesday, March 17th, 2026, 7 PM. Selectmen's meeting. Gonna call this meeting to order. I have myself, First Selectman Nick Donahue, Second Selectman Larry Consiglio, and Selectman Jeffrey Bolte. We also have in attendance tonight our Finance Director, Mr. Bill William Steiglitz.
Please, Bill.
So we'll get started. And as always, first, Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone, please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Alrighty, let's go through. We have some approval of minutes. First is going to be Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance joint special meeting from February 12th, 2026. B is going to be Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance joint special meeting February 19th of 26. C, Board of Selectmen special meeting February 24th, 2026. And D, Board of Selectmen meeting March 3rd, 2026.
We take them individually.
We can take them individually. I will entertain motions for A, B, C, D individually.
Very good.
Do I have a motion for A?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve February 12th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, so Larry, you have the motion. Jeff, you have the second. All those in favor of approving line A signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Take a motion for line B, February 19th.
I'll make the motion.
Jeffrey with the motion. I'll second that. All those
Abstain.
you're abstaining. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Donahue and Bolte with aye. Consiglio abstaining. C, I'll take a motion, February 24th.
I'll make the motion.
Jeffrey Bolte with the motion. I'll second that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those abstain? All those voting no? Jeffrey? Which way are you voting?
I went aye.
Okay, so
Yeah.
unanimous on that. All right, and last but not least, Board of Selectmen special meeting March 3rd, line D. I'll take a motion to approve.
I will second.
I'll have the motion. Larry Consiglio has the second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Abstain.
And one abstention. The abstention for the record is going to be Jeffrey Bolton. All right. Go off the side, just make sure I got everything I need to. All righty. Next, I have listed is correspondence. If I think correspondence. I don't believe I have any correspondence. Any of the other selectmen have correspondence?
Nope.
All right, moving on. Under selectmen's comments. I just wanted to say thank you for everyone coming tonight. I know we have a few people in citizen comments who want to speak after this, and we'll get to that. We did approve budget to move forward and a bond note in which we're going to talk about tonight. The number is 1.9. 1.9. So set the record straight on that. That originally got brought down from a 4.7 bill.
Just over 4.07 was the original.
4.07 to a 1.9. So it's a pretty dramatic cuts and drops from where we started to where we are now. We'll talk about that later in the meeting. Also, we'll be on Winnie tomorrow from 9 to 10. If anybody wants to call in, has any questions, I encourage everyone to do that. I know we're going to have a member of the Board of Education on with me and possibly a member of the Animal Control. So we'll go there. Any other selectmen's comments from the other two selectmen?
Yes, I just want to thank Mr. Steiglitz for your diligence in this year's budget. I know it's a tough job, and I think you handle it very well. And the Board of Finance, again, thank you for their hard work also.
Agreed. Agreed. Jeffrey, any comments
I
today?
think I'm good tonight,
Okay.
for now.
All right, perfect. All right, next up, citizen comments. Now is your time for citizens in the room and or on Zoom to say comments regarding why you're here and what you came from and what's on your mind. Sir, if you want to come first, if you want to stand up and present yourself in front of the microphone so the entire Zoom world can see you. Great, thanks for coming.
It's been a heck of a winter.
Certainly has. The last 24 hours have been pretty hectic.
Oh, yeah, I mean, hey, yeah, we lost power, got it back. And can you do anything with Eversource?
Name and address, and then I'll answer your
No,
question.
Fabian Road,
No, name and address.
108 Fabian Road, Wayne O'Brien.
Thanks, Wayne.
I mean, God's honest truth, I was talking to the guy, he goes, this is the oldest equipment I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Every other part of this town has been updated. Fabian Road has never been updated. It's something, it started with a D, he says. He goes, it's a very antiquated, old system.
Okay.
And I mean, no offense, that road goes from 31 all the way to Putnam, basically, because Ravenel is right there, just straight on shot through.
Yep.
And none of it's been updated.
Yep.
We've been left in the dark and,
Almost
know.
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, well, you know what, more times than not. And I mean, hey, we get along, we get through it. I mean, first thing when we were building our house, neighbors go, you better have a generator.
Yeah, that's
You're gonna lose
one
power.
true thing here in Thompson. Yep, we're kind of the end of the line, so to say.
Well, I get it, my energy comes from Woodstock. You get it from Rhode Island,
Oh,
that side. Oh, you
Cut
live
off.
on that side?
yep, no, our lines don't go into Rhode Island or Mass, unfortunately. So
But
I meet with Eversource quarterly. Little backstory, I met with Eversource about 2 weeks ago, one of their senior executives and our customer service rep for our town. I will say I'm thoroughly impressed by the relationship that we have with our Eversource, so I will most definitely address that when I speak to them next.
That
As you
would-
can imagine, today, right now, they're super busy. We still have fire crews and light crews out. I think we still have about
234.
234 residents and customers in the town of Thompson still out, down from about 1,100.
I mean,
So we're working through it. There is a active
Mhm.
fire-related electrical emergency on Aquatic Town Farm Road in the area of 911 currently. So they're working on that quite literally as we speak. But we'll get on to moving.
no, they had the same problem with Mr. O'Neill's property right there in front of it.
Yeah.
The down power line was causing a little bit of fire.
Yep.
They put it out.
Yep.
But anyway, now it seems like the school budget has come down some.
It has.
Because I really I took offense to what she said. No offense. But the school has gotten more than $6 million since COVID. No offense, that's a lot of money. And for her to turn around and say, we're not supporting them, we're not funding them correctly, we're not, you know what? That's BS. I think the townspeople are doing the best job they can do.
I agree.
And you know, all you did was just get people mad again. That's not how you want to open this thing and stir the pot. Just go ahead, stir the pot. You know, I mean, I took a hard line, I took looks at it. I'm trying to figure out how they come up with, oh, well, it's only $24,000 per student. Okay, well, that's right. If you take the special ed money out of the fraction there and just divide 700 kids by that amount of money, guess what? You come up with $24,000. Now you got to add in the special ed money. Now you're up to $36,000 per student.
Sure.
I can send kids to any school in God's creation for $36,000. Not the special ed kids, because some of those special ed kids are going to cost us more money.
All but Pomfret Academy.
You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. I understand.
I'm not trying to pick on the school or anything else,
No.
but I mean, we got less than 700 kids. That's counting preschool kids. Preschool.
Well, it's more like almost 780. And we are responsible for kids that are out of district too.
Which is another about 75 to 100.
Right, so unfortunately, those don't factor in the student expenditures. Because
the kids at Ellis Tech, they go for free because the state covers that. I understand that. The kids that go to the Aggie school, I believe, are free.
No,
I thought they were free
No,
because that's a state-run
No.
program.
no, we pay tuition to that.
Okay.
And
Oh,
they're
yeah.
not factored into the state per student expenditure. That's where the rub is too.
And I mean, I, you guys are arguing, we need more money from the state, and I agree, the state should have been, in 13 years, they haven't gone up. You know what, that's sad. That is sad. Because,
I've called, May Flexer, I talked with her, talked to Jeff Gordon. This is an election year and according to Jeff Gordon, there is some movement on the
I
bill for more money for.
yeah, I see it on the news all the time, and I think that's wonderful. $1,000 a kid, well, okay, well, that's something.
Anything's better than nothing.
Anything better than nothing, but I mean, if you just went with the inflation rate for the last 13 years, you probably would have been higher than that.
You gotta remember too that the state reimbursement hasn't moved since 2013.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we're stuck at that number.
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
Totally understand all that.
Yeah.
I totally understand
puts
it,
the burden on
But-
small towns.
but, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the fact of the matter is, back in the 80s, the townspeople adopted this tax system that we have. This tax system, you are losing 45% of your taxable income
The depreciation.
through the depreciation. You go from 1.9 or 1.7 down to 1.1. I mean, I've talked to Paul. He's a nice guy. I like him. Go talk to him. I mean, hey, I even told the person on Board of Finance about it. But the fact of the matter is, something needs to be done. I mean, I just think you gotta do something. I appreciate everything. You guys have a good one.
I encourage
Thanks, Wayne.
all our voters to call our representatives and voice your concerns.
Absolutely. You're right.
I did, and whether or not it's more self-satisfaction, if nothing else, at least you make your voice heard.
Absolutely, I agree with you. But stirring the pot is not the way to do, Wrong moves.
I can say that the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen have worked, and the Board of Ed have all worked extremely hard on this budget. A lot of late nights.
So what is the school side and what is the town side?
I'm gonna put that question to my left-hand man over here, our finance
Because
director.
I heard they were looking for 2.1 million, and I'm like, yeah, they're really good.
So the total budget is $33.9 million. 23.7 of that is the school. And the remaining amount of, what's that, about just over 10 million, 10.3 is a combination of general town debt service and capital transfers, which people generally call the town.
Question, what percentage?
So the school.
Are we looking at 1.1, 1.2 for the school?
Are you talking about mills or are you talking about
Mills.
percentage?
Mills.
The increase, at the increase impact at the school is 1.42. At the town, it's about $500,000. So the school is up 8%, 8.7%. The town is up 7.7%. Debt service is up 0.4, and capital and transfers is currently up 29.3. But the reason that's quite an increase, because if you recall, by the fourth referendum last year, we had cut capital and transfers to almost nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're starting at a very low base from last year.
A lot of contractual stuff too, health insurance. A lot of stuff that's really not uncontrollable.
Totally understand all that. We all have health insurance that we have to pay for, and car insurance and house insurance and everything else. So yes, you're right. There is a lot of things that we have to do.
As always, Wayne, I appreciate you coming out.
Thank you.
I appreciate your 2 cents for what it's worth.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
But yeah, talk to St. Foxer and them and see if you can do something about changing the tax code. Because that's what Brooklyn is doing. They're getting that fire district away. They have to go to Hartford and get a new law.
Any other citizen comments? Come up, name and address, sir.
Name and address.
Yes, the hot seat, so to say.
Eric Strike, 34 Redbridge Road. More so, I'm here to discuss with like a noise issues when it comes to the Riverside Park area. Last week, there was a group of people down there with cars and the noise was so loud. If you think of where 34 Red Bridge Road is or the baseball fields are, I shouldn't be able to hear a kid's car.
Gentlemen. Just give him his courtesy. Thank you.
I shouldn't be able to hear a kid's car's audio system in my backyard. I thought it was my neighbor, so I was gonna go over and address my neighbor. Come to find out as I'm driving down the road, it's not even my neighbor, it's all the way down at the park late at night, which woke me up from, I didn't call the state police for it. I've heard from some of my neighbors and friends that it was called and the response time was, I didn't see it. We all know, we all live in Thompson, the response times are 45 minutes an hour. I've had my own times when it comes to the state police that I've complained to them and past selectmen's that they decided that they triaged my call and said, we're not gonna send somebody. And that's just outright wrong too, on so many different levels. That aside, I'm not here to, I should call them to complain about that. But they were so loud, I addressed it myself because I just wanna go to bed. We all like to sleep. Finally, after I had already left, apparently, they did drive by and respond. Of course, they're not there, but is there something we can do when it comes to the Riverside Park and this audible, that's far away. That's almost a quarter of a mile that I had to deal with that and literally was right at the next, I thought it was right outside my house. I don't know if anybody else is living nearby who heard it, but that was obscene. And I heard neighbors yelling, screaming between the sounds of the voices. Can you shut that off? So I was the only one who did something about it. They drove away quickly. I wasn't going to put myself in an unsafe position. Yes, they are town residents. I did follow them a ways to at least identify, at least they were leaving town, but they are town residents to my knowledge. I don't really want to keep putting myself as that person that's going to keep following up with it, but closing down the park at a certain time or putting it where the vehicles can't be there, or I myself am stressing to the state police about, can you maybe come to our town that we pay and have coverage from the state in a timely manner to things? Because that was at least 10 or 15 townspeople that I heard or were outside of their house as I was driving by, waving me over to the people where it was. It upsetted a lot of people, I know that. I don't know them all personally, but I saw them all that night and I wasn't too happy with it. So not necessarily the town, but what are we gonna do? We'd like to do something about it. I don't want to be woken up to that again. My kids waking up, that was
the record. What time?
around 9, last Wednesday.
Subsequently, when I got out of my meeting, there was 2 state police cruisers in the park who had come to investigate screeching of tires and noises and unruly behavior, so to say.
Yeah, and this isn't the first time that I've heard about it. This is just the first time I've heard it because they're finally loud enough to reach me all the way up where I live.
Sure.
All
right. Well, we'll take that under account, and I think we probably have another couple comments on the same issue, so I'll kind of address my reply to that after you guys go.
I'll go back him up. Okay. I don't know what to call it now. My name's Craig Root. I live at 15 Main Street, Stone's Throw from here. So everything pretty much what he's saying is to the fact. When I called the state police barracks, I actually had my phone by the window of my bathroom, and the state police could hear the music. Prior to the music, they had their exhaust going, which sounds like gunshots.
Fireworks.
Yeah, it is really bad. It'll make you wonder. So this is the 3rd incident that I've called the troop. Each time the people have been gone. The last time it was 40 minutes. By the time they got down there, they were gone. And I think Eric was also saying that they told Eric, we'll call the troop because all they're going to say is turn it down and they're going to leave, which is probably true. So I'm in the same boat with him. We got to do something. This is, they do live off of 200. We do know that. Very close to 200 in Riverside Drive. They were behind me the other day when I went by them. The house, they pulled up behind me, so I know where they live. But we got to do something about this. I got a 2-year-old in the 2nd floor. who I know. There's a lot of people that aren't, are either too old to come out here and say something. But there was a couple of people who said, let's start a petition if we have to. I just don't want to see it get to the point where, you know, I didn't know was Eric down there that night until after I was asking him about the barriers he used to use at Nichols College. And he said, well, I said, how much do they run? He said, they're expensive. And I told him I was coming down to see Nick. He goes, I'll meet you down there. He goes, I was the truck that was down there. So I watched that whole interaction from my bathroom window, but it was well after he left that they showed up. I think they talked to one person down there, but it wasn't the group that were doing the noise. But something's gotta be done because we're gonna start getting aggravated and we just don't want to get taken out of our hands. Because these people seem to be like, they would instigate something. So, I mean, if I was to drive down there and complain, or Eric again, it could get worse. We just want some peace and quiet. I mean, it's acceptable when we have our functions down there during the summer. A couple of years ago, we had a bunch of teenagers that used to hang out at the pavilion with loud music. And one of them was somebody who lived in my house, and I used to complain all the time, and the swearing and stuff like that. But I want to see us do something preventable before we end up on the news for something stupid. Somebody losing their temper.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
Other thing I don't know where it is, but the motorcycles, unregistered motorcycles, flying up and down Riverside Drive, coming from 3 rows.
Saw one coming in today as I was
Yeah.
driving up to the town hall.
Yeah, and I saw a double and they're standing on the back thing. Now, one of these kids crashes on our town property. Who's gonna be liable, number one? They don't have insurance, obviously, it's not registered. Who's it gonna fall on? The town? We don't know. I mean, that's been going on for a couple of years since I've been back. So I just would like to see something done about barricade or something to stop them from going down in there and, the chaos that they're pulling. It's gonna get worse as it gets warmer. And we're gonna be calling every week, week in and week out.
I agree.
And,
And I appreciate you coming in. I really enjoy the citizen comments and the feedback. I know you and I had conversation, the group of us, and I urged you to come in and make an official statement under citizen comments about it, because it is it just shows, and I don't want to say the police problem or the lack of police problem in Thompson, but
well, we all know that. I mean, the barracks is 10 minutes away at 50, 60 miles an hour.
yeah,
40 minutes? Are you kidding me? Seriously? I mean,
I get it.
if you want, we can always go back and say, hey, was there something going on? We want to know what was going on during that time.
Yep.
But 40 minutes is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
Well, I appreciate your comments.
All right, thank you.
Next up in person.
Thank you.
Hey, Bill. How you doing?
Hi, my name is Timmy Luce. I reside at 1029 Riverside Drive, lifelong resident of this town, grew up here, and like they said, my complaint is the Heritage Parkway behind the old Knights of Columbus.
Yes.
We had,
I've called the troop multiple times,
2 hot spots.
and I don't know, people must hear that because Buckley Hill, there's the old trail, there's houses up in the back across the river.
Yep.
And last summer, it was like from 3 o'clock on, it was like their own little private car club takeover. They lined the place up. If you go down there now, all you see is rubber. I don't know if you guys could hear that from behind the KFC. And my wife's like, we don't even want to be here.
Which with the Knights of Columbus being vacant right now.
Oh, it's even worse. Now in the grass back there, they peel out in the grass and the snow.
Which is town property.
Yep. But this is something I'm up against right here. All the time. I think you guys agree with that? Yeah. And they're all, a lot of them are Massachusetts, and they're all little Ford, but once in a while you get a big V8 down or something. You'll hear them all come down. They all go down there, and they come out, take a right, head north on 131, and like a bat out of hell, leaving patches in the front of the yard. 5 minutes later, coming back, to go back down there. Same thing what he was saying. Vroom, pow, vroom, pow. This is ongoing. During the summer, it's 5 days a week. 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I know a lot of places they're supposed to be closed at dusk. There's people down St. Priory over here too. 2, 3 in the morning. There's people down there. Usually those are quiet, but this whole car takeover last summer was horrible for us. I lived next to the club. I grew up next to the club, and I remember when the KSC had it. Has nothing. That is nothing to what we had to go through last year. And I'm just so happy. I can't believe that other people, because I'm like, I'm going to be the only one coming forward here, but I am excited that there's other people having the same problem.
Sure.
And saying something. I'm beyond excited.
And as you said, now that the weather's getting nicer.
That's gonna get.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's
No question, no question.
but it's all, once in a while it's at, later at night, but even when it rains and 8 o'clock with the windows closed, you'll still hear, oh, there they are again. But I was just blown away also now that with the property being vacant, you look back there and, 6 inches of snow, they're in the grass, just doing that. All types of vehicles. So he was saying a barricade. I know when Aquatic State Park, during the winter, the gates closed, you got a little parking spot up top there. If you want to go to the park, you'll walk down. You know what? Barricade it off for now. People want to go down there, park up top and go down. Speed bumps or anything.
Yeah.
Because they got to go really slow to come off the little hit there off onto the road. Then they light them up. And light them up, come back out.
Yep.
So, thank you.
So I'll reply to those 3 things. I think, and I had a conversation with our DPW director, because this is an ongoing issue. It is not the first I've heard about it, and it's not the first I've seen. Whether the thought was limiting access and off hours on Riverside Park, and same thing with behind the Knights of Columbus building. We need to find an economical but safe way to do that. That isn't gonna occur, probably a lot of time spent opening and closing the gate 7 days a week. That being said, myself and DPW Director Tasek had thrown around the idea of putting bollards up, which is a steel case on that lock into the ground, and then you can take 2 of them out so people can't drive through, but they can walk through. Big thing that we had talked about is a trip hazard. So simply putting 2 pipes and a chain in the ground presents kind of another inherent risk of people falling and then putting us in a different form of liability. I think in a perfect world, we'd have our own police department, and maybe someday we will. Maybe we'll have some cooperative police department with Putnam. That's not gonna happen in the next 12 months, though. So that being said, I'm gonna continue to explore the issue, and I want you to continue to be vigilant and report these unruly behaviors to Connecticut State Police. If it is an emergency, dial 911. If it is not an emergency, don't dial 911.
I always call the
business line,
Yes.
the admin line, which I recommend. If there is an emergency where you need police, quick, use that. But I appreciate that. Any other citizen comments in the room before we move to Zoom? All right, Zoom. Miss Sally White, are you able to unmute? There you go.
Good evening. Sally White, 308 East Thompson Road. Before my regular questions, I just want to the avails of the gentlemen that have just spoken, which I understand the annoyance of noise. It's not a good thing. It's stressful. It's unnecessary. It's inconsiderate. But the troopers, the place to speak is to your representatives, your state senators, the governor's office, because they control obviously the money. The Troop D people have no control over that. They love nothing better than to be back up to full strength. For decades now, it's been dwindling. They used to have around 70 troopers for Troop D. They're down to around 26, 27. They cover multiple towns. North Patrol covers at least 3 towns. There's 1 trooper. But that's all they are given from Hartford, from your legislators and from your governor. And it's outrageous. And so sometimes the trooper can be in Union, they can be in Chaplin, they can be in North Woodstock, or they might be in an entirely different place backing up a fellow trooper for safety reasons, totally understandable. So if they get here, in some instances, in 40 minutes, they're doing well. So let's see. And, you know, when you figure like 27 troopers for 3 shifts for multiple towns, it's puny. So I wanted to ask just
Sally, you just muted yourself, I think.
now.
Yep, there you go. You're back.
Okay. So I have, you may be covering this later. If you are, these specific questions, then I can wait so I can take notes. But I've had some people ask me, and I'm not clear. What is in the capital improvements that are in the bond? And will what is in that bond be in the verbiage for the people to see that are voting? Because obviously you don't want to vote for bond, you don't know what's in it. You have to know what's in it.
Yep, we're gonna go over all that.
Okay, and is is there any remaining capital money still in the budget, or is it all going into the bond? And then is the debt service in the bond or in the regular budget? Um,
Yeah, we're gonna talk about all that.
okay,
Yep.
including how much is in either the bond or the budget for roads?
Yep, that's why I have Mr. Bill Steglitz here today. I had him come in because I knew there were gonna be some questions, rightfully so, about that.
Yeah, so it'd be really interesting to know what's actually in the bond. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Ms. Valerie Clark, you're up.
Valerie Clark, Elm Road. I started tonight with 3 questions and now I've added a 4th based on the room comments. So the first one, and I recognize it has been a long, I will say 48 hours at this point. We had a late meeting last night and we've had a late night after that. I'd just like to request that the website.
Valerie, can you unmute again? There we go. Sorry, you left off at website.
Yep, and then I heard the beep and the host had muted me.
Apologize, my fault.
Thanks, host. If the website and Facebook could please be updated as to what roads are still closed and not, I think that most of the roads that were closed are now open, but maybe I'm wrong. I know 193 at East Thompson has been reopened, right? Because people were asking me today, how do I get to X? Are the roads open? And I'm like, I can't really tell you without going out and driving around because I don't know that the website's updated. So I would appreciate that. The other thing from last night, and I know it's too early to do anything about, but I do encourage the town and I appreciate the Board of Selectmen's offer to consider being an intervener in the solar proposal for Pompeo Road. That is unconscionable to have that coming on top of the one that should never have gone forward in the first place. To have 2 there on the most beautiful road and beautiful area is just going to be horrible, and what's doing to those residents is, I'll say it again, unconscionable. Then I'm Board of Finance meeting on Thursday. The agenda lists that they're going to do something about accepting a recommendation for a new board member. Is that a secret? How do you find out what they're?
So no, it is not a secret. And I'll answer. So first question you asked was about intervener status. I have explored that option with the attorney, and I do intend on moving forward with that once we get some numbers back. To answer your first question. Second question. Board of Finance, in our agenda today, I do have later in our agenda, a resignation from Mr. David Johnson, which we're gonna go over. Quickly, I'll talk about that, on any resignation of board that's submitted to the board chair and then entered in the town clerk's office. Subsequently, depending on which board or commission it is depending on how it unfolds. Board of Ed and Board of Finance appoints their own members through a majority vote system, unlike other boards in which a member is suggested from one of the DTC or RTC, and then the Board of Selectmen appoint based off that. Board of Finance is different. So Board of Finance, it was a minority seat, so it is going to a Democrat seat. They have made, from my knowledge, a recommendation. And that will be discussed in their meeting on Thursday, and they'll take a majority vote on that, I believe. But that is the only information I have on that right now.
So there's no way to know who's being considered and all of that.
I know I don't have that information because it takes the bias out of it with those two boards, with the Board of Finance being such an integral board. I think it's set up that way on purpose so that the Board of Selectmen can't hand pick who they want. So I think that's built in to take out that bias. So actually, I don't have that information.
Okay. Thank you. And my last thing is regarding the unruly motor vehicles. So in the other end of town, we have a similar problem. Mr. Steglitz is smiling because he lives with it too. There are certain clubs, since the Speedway has gone to the club rental model that they have implemented there. There are some clubs that attract particularly unruly clientele. In the past, when the Speedway used to run events, the town required them to hire a police officer to monitor the traffic at the end of it, and I apologize for the beeping, at the end of the event, so that they didn't have pretend racers running up and down East Thompson Road, Spicer Road, 193, when they got out, because they were all pumped up from what they had witnessed at the Speedway. And I recognize that the state police are reluctant to just sit outside the Speedway because it gives the Speedway a bad reputation. But something has to be done about, there are particular clubs, if anyone wants me to name them, I will, but they come out firing those, and I know people call them fireworks, but they are not, they are gunshots. And I have them sit outside my horse fields doing volleys. I had a crew of 5 of them last summer. Thank God I was not trying to ride the horse. They stopped outside my horse field and volleyed and tried to spook my horses and scare them. And they go up and down the street, stopping outside everyone's house, trying to scare people. It's in violation of all kinds of breach of peace. And the state police, I don't know how much they get to collect in fines, but they could sit here and get, and I'm sure the camera that's outside monitoring, outside John Rice's house, monitoring speed limit, I'm sure that if that were tracked, they'd see how much they could get in tickets. So I would recommend getting someone to sit out here on select days and collect money, because it's disturbing the whole area, and it goes all the way down to Sandown.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. I'll work on that. Thank you. Thank you. All right, any other citizen comments in the Zoom room? All right, showing no citizen comments. I know we took a little bit longer than we normally would. I think it's important that people like to be heard, and some people think it's a comment only. I like to give feedback, and that's how we're gonna run the meeting moving forward. And I'm just gonna stand on that. I think it's important that we have a back and forth with our citizens. That's what we're elected to do, and that's why, quite frankly, I'm here. That being said, Let's see, transfer station policy. That's gonna be next on our agenda. Now, I'm not looking for a vote or this or anything. But I will say this, and I just want to make a public statement here, and I came up with a policy that was already based off our ordinance, but I don't believe that we were doing our due diligence to do it. And I'm gonna read it real quick, and then we'll have a little bit of brief discussion, but I just kind of wanted to notify everybody, because I think it's good, I think it's positive. So, policy. This policy establishes updated requirements for the issuance of transfer station permits for residents of the town of Thompson. Policy. Effective immediately, all applicants of the town of Thompson transfer station permit must provide a valid Connecticut vehicle registration that matches the applicant's Thompson residential address as listed on their Connecticut issued driver's license. So what that means is when you come in and get a transfer station permit, we're gonna ask for a copy of your vehicle registration that is active and an active license, and those need to match. We've been having a lot of issues with people that either used to live here or they just moved here and they never transferred their license over, but their vehicle's registered here, or vice versa. Their vehicle isn't registered here and they've been a 5 or 6 or an 8 year resident and they previously lived in Webster, but yet we're giving them a transfer station permit. Unfortunately, those days are done. Not as is it only, it's against our own policy and ordinance, it's against Connecticut general law. So we're not going to be doing that moving forward. Now, I have a requirement here. The name and residential address on the applicant's Connecticut driver's license must match the address on the vehicle registration, and it has to be a Thompson address. I've already gone over that. Only vehicle registered to a Thompson residential address are eligible for a permit under this policy. Now, I know we do have a couple of exemptions. We do, I believe we give a permit to Teague, we give a permit to the Weekend Warriors or Thompson Community Covered as a humanitarian effort. So there are a couple exceptions to that. And then commercial vehicles. Everyone asks about commercial vehicles because I know there are a lot of workers in Thompson that have take-home commercial vehicles. You're still able to get a dump permit on that registration. We're just requesting that you have a letter from your employer giving you permission to use that said vehicle for that use. So that's an updated policy. This isn't an ordinance change. This is just simply hitting home what's already in our ordinance and making it clear to our collector's office, a new procedure and outline to make us all better. Does anybody have any comments on my board regarding that? I don't know if you have a copy of it, if you've read it. No. But this should cut down a little on abusive transfer station permits and out-of-state people coming in and using our tax subsidized service and on our backs, so to say. And it will also help with, driver's licenses and registrations that aren't registered in town.
So what this ultimately does is it helps us police the out-of-state vehicles that aren't registered and are not paying their excise tax, okay? This town is losing thousands of dollars a year because of out-of-state vehicles not being registered in town. That is gonna stop also, okay? We live in town, pay your excise tax like everybody else does. So this is gonna help kind of police that also.
Yep. No questions, unfortunately.
Oh,
Yeah, no. Citizen comments are pretty much the only time you get to speak on official business, unless it's an open dialogue, but this isn't one of those things that is.
Thank you.
Yeah, no. Yeah, all good. Hopefully you come back. All right, so we'll move on. Bonding, FY 26-27 capital improvements. I'm gonna hand over the floor real quick, to Bill Steglitz, and we're gonna go over line by line of what the bond process is, what we're looking for, in kind of how that all unfolded and what brought us to today. So without further ado.
So I'll step back and just to be clear, I'm not on the Board of Selectmen or the Board of Finance. I'm your finance director. However, I've been involved with the process and I think I could offer the public a pretty concise summary of how this came about and what's in the bond, where the debt service is, and the capital items that were left in the budget that are not included in the bond. So during the Board of Finance's deliberations on the budget, I think we had talked about earlier in the meeting that initially the proposed mill rate increase was 4.07 mils. Obviously, nobody likes that. So there was a lot of discussion about how do we try to rein that in and get it down, following a year where there was actually no mill increase. I think everybody acknowledged that that a mill rate increase was probably needed, but not at that level. So the procedures, that we followed in the past, were followed again. We went line by line through each budget in joint meetings with the Board of Selectmen. The Selectmen made cuts, and then the Board of Finance made cuts. And then it became apparent that we were still at a pretty aggressive mill rate increase. I believe it was Brian Lynch who proposed the idea, specifically initially focusing on one particular problem, which is the paving fund. As part of the 4 referendums of last year, the town generally likes to put somewhere between $600,000 and $750,000 a year in the paving fund to give the DPW guys some capital to work with it and try to stay on top of our roads. That last year, as part of the budget cuts, was dropped down to $150,000. At that level, you're literally talking about potholes, and sometimes that's not even enough there. So this discussion turned to how could we try to take a different approach, because clearly we aren't funding paving, just to use that as an example, adequately from budget to budget. So Mr. Lynch proposed the idea of bonding, and originally the amount was around 10 million. Ultimately, the Board of Finance settled at 12. Very high level to take about, and once again, to be clear and for the record, all of these numbers are preliminary at this point. So I'm just kind of trying to encapsulate the discussions that happened. Taking about an $8 million swing at paving, and then the remaining $4 million would be split between getting a nice amount of money in the municipal property repair fund, which has helped us address things like the library oil tank in the past. However, in the past, those contributions every year maybe would start at 100,000 in the budget, and by the time the budget passed, that might be at 50,000. So it takes a while to build up a steam when you're only putting that much money in there. Thankfully, we had enough to handle the oil tank because we had thought ahead in that regard. So high level, roughly $8 million to paving, $2 million to the municipal property repair fund, and that remaining $2 million would be used to address capital items at the school and at the town that have, if you're a fan of watching the budget process, you've seen these capital items on the capital sheet year after year after year, and they get cut and they get cut and they get cut. And I think probably the best example, if you think there's a better one, would be the roof out at the town garage. At this point, there was a point a couple of weeks ago, I think they were swimming across the garage. They had buckets all over the place.
Yeah.
The bays the leaks had gotten to the point they were ridiculous. And it wasn't only in the garage, it was actually in the offices and like the common area, break areas too. So we had some discussions with Joe during the Board of Finance meetings on the budget. And if I remember right, that roof is now 21 years old or so. So it's kind of right on time that it started.
We are getting multiple quotes. There are 2 companies coming out. One's coming out tomorrow and the other's coming out next week. So we should have some more concrete numbers there.
So paving, municipal property repair fund, and just to rattle off a couple of other examples, this isn't an exhaustive list, but the roof at the garage, a potential ambulance building here at the town hall, sort of a steel structure somewhere between $85,000 and $120,000. And then there are many items out at DPW that have been on the list for many, many years. A replacement John Deere tractor snow blower, a roadside mower. Our roadside mowers, you guys may have seen these in the summertime. This thing is a very medieval looking contraption, but they do all the roadside mowing typically during the summertime. Though that equipment is long overdue. Library heat pumps. Believe it or not, the library's not new anymore, even though we all call it the new library, so at least I do. It's 30 years old at this point, and there are some things that need to happen there. Chipper out at DPW. Let me see some other examples here. A paving of the town hall parking lot. That's an item that has been on the list and cut every year since before I started here.
And we do have a 50% match grant for that. So in order to get the 50% match grant, we have to pay the 50%, which is that 97,000 approximate. So we are getting a little free money in there.
And then there's things up at the school. The camera system and the alarm system up there at this point are very aged. And need to be addressed along with the access control system. That's where employees actually can badge in, just like you would at any company. They also have some work that has to happen to the high school gym floor. And then there's another replacement of the bathrooms at Mary R. Fisher Elementary School. Believe it or not, they're the same bathrooms that were there when I was roaming those halls, which wasn't yesterday. Right, Tim?
Yep.
So that gives us an example of the type of things. We can't publish a list right now because a lot of these things we're still getting prices on. But suffice to say, with 4 significant items on that list, without prices, this list already totals $11.3 million. So it's going to be well above 12. And at that point, if this were to pass, there would obviously be a prioritization, and then there would be working through to figure out what to fund. But the big takeaway and the primary focus is on paving. If you don't mind, I'd like to address some of the questions from earlier.
Yes.
I think we just talked at length about what's in the bond. The debt service on this bond would be in the fiscal 27 budget. By timing it appropriately and doing this borrowing probably in August, we could limit the first year impact of the debt service to only one interest payment, which would be approximately $200,000 in fiscal 27. In fiscal 28 on, that debt service would probably be somewhere around $900,000. It all depends on rates, which obviously nobody knows right now. But if we were to do the borrowing today, that rate is 3.25%. So it's actually a really good environment for borrowing. But yes, that debt service has been included in the fiscal 27 budget as currently proposed. Capital items left in the budget. The Board of Finance decided to leave 3 capital items in the budget that would not be funded by the bond. And these are actually the same 3 items that the Board of Selectmen had decided to move from an outright purchase to a 7-year lease, which is customarily how we would buy these types of items. Those 3 items are what we refer to as a 9-ton truck. Everybody else would think of it as a plow truck. I'm sure everybody knows that fleet is very aged. We've got a few that are 20 plus years old, and we've been chipping away at it over the last couple of years. Unfortunately, we did not buy one last year, so we're kind of a year behind in what we normally do there. So that was kept in. In addition, 2 F-350s at the town garage, one set up for plowing and sanding, and the other one as a utility body. Both of those were moved to 7-year leases also and remain in the budget as presented. Part of the thinking on those 2 F-350s is that as new trucks come in, new F-350s come into the DPW, the outgoing trucks, which folks would think of as Joe Tasick's truck, and then essentially the tool truck, would roll and sort of be handed down to the school. At the moment, the school is down to 1 plow truck, which was a challenge this winter, obviously for reasons everybody is familiar with. But I think everybody kind of likes that idea that the DPW guys get the trucks when they're new, because obviously they see pretty heavy duty use at the DPW, and those trucks eventually roll up to the school. the two trucks that just literally, one of them broke in half at the school, and that's why it's no longer in action, is because that truck was over 23 years old. However, the school tends to be able to get a lot of time out of those trucks because the demands just aren't nearly as hard at the school as they are, if, out on the roads plowing and such.
Mhm.
So I think that answers the questions from earlier, gives people an idea of what's in the bond, where debt service was, and what was left in the budget.
Any questions to my fellow selectmen
Yes.
regarding what you just heard?
Where do we stand with fund balance right now?
So right now, if folks go to the Board of Finance meetings, we just had the auditors last month. We have, over the last just over 4 years, kind of kicked and clawed and scratched our surplus position from just over 5%, which is dangerously low, to just over 10%. That is still about 2/3 of what it should be. The state guidance from OPM is that we have 16.7% of the current year budget in surplus. So although we are vastly improved from where we were just a few years ago, we're not quite where we need to be.
So I'm concerned about debt service, excuse me, at our fund balance being at 10%.
Yep.
And with the debt coming off,
There are,
is there any money that's gonna be rolled over
Sure.
into that
so there's
from the debt service?
There's two relevant items within our current debt service. We are actually paying off everyone here might recall, might remember it as the school roof loan from a few years ago. That's being paid off this year and will roll off. That's already included in the budget. Because we finally received the final reimbursement from the state on that, which has to be applied to the bond, and that's actually happening at the end of this month. The other item is what we called our previously refinanced loan, which is about $890,000 a year of debt service. That remains on through fiscal 28. That is almost about the same amount of debt service as we would be taking on. We would have the full impact of both for 1 year, and then in fiscal 29, the refinance loan would roll off, and we would continue on with this bond if it were to pass.
So at this point, there's no money going back into the general fund to raise that 10%.
Well, really the only way the 10% increases is if we come in under budget at the town and at the school. Now, we've been able to do that for the last several years. In addition, we've done things like chasing down additional reimbursement from FEMA. That helped a bit because that wasn't something that was budgeted. So it was an unbudgeted revenue. That was actually a year-long effort 2 years ago. And it actually worked out really well for the town. So I guess from a long-term approach, what we would like to do is come in under budget year after year after year, and continue the climb that we've seen from 5 years ago to this year, and see that go into the future. The headwinds against something like that are the two things that you hear about all the time. You've got the variable of winter at the town, which we all witnessed this year in an unbelievable way. I mean, our salt and sand budget is significantly over. Fortunately, we were able to cover it with a transfer from contingency. And also, Joe Tasic took a hard look at all his other budget lines, and he deferred a bunch of stuff that will, in essence, unless it snows again, and I hope it doesn't, we should be able to get through on that. On the other side, up at the school, it's the same challenging item that we've all talked about at length. It's rising special ed costs, and particularly students who had high needs and needed to be outplaced. I can't go into a lot of detail on those particular cases because there are privacy rules related to special education, just like there are for HIPAA, for example.
Yeah.
But suffice it to say that there's a lot of challenges there, and it's encouraging to hear. I've actually heard, Larry, from a couple of different sources that there's a lot of talk on Capitol Hill. I hope it's not just
I hope it's not just.
election year talk.
Yeah.
Because this is an issue that is not just Thompson. I mean, if you look at all of the surrounding towns in the quiet corner, all of them are mid 20% in terms of special ed students. And it's not just Thompson. And it's just an incredible challenge for small towns where the tax base is especially primarily residential. This is something all of us have heard a million times before, but it's nice to hear at least something, because I haven't heard any good news on this front in the last 4 years. So hopefully we'll actually see some change there.
My last comment is, I hope that we'll get through this year's budget. We pass this, this capital improvement plan. I just hope that we don't sit back next year and not do any fund,
Right, any
capital
contributions.
improvements for next year. That would be my concern.
I can relay that the Board of Finance has talked about that concept quite a bit in their meetings, because you could see a situation where you do this big push and then this money runs out and you're right back to needing to bump up that contribution to capital by $600,000.
That would be my big concern.
So the hope was that they would sort of ramp up as these funds are being used, so that you don't see a massive budget hit. It would be a repeat of exactly what we're seeing this year, where we're trying to go from 150 that was in the budget for paving last year to I think the original ask was 750.
Yeah.
That's a $600,000 increase. That's a $500,000 on just the paving line.
And I think for years, we've had to cut budgets and come in with a mill or under a mill or right over a mill. And a lot of people have had to go without, which has led to critical failures.
And that's why we're in the
predicament we're at. The library not having heat in the dead of winter. Perfect example. They've been asking for heating upgrades in preventive maintenance and all sorts of stuff for years, and we've cut it. Paving. A lot of stuff. There's a couple of bridges that need to be addressed. There's a lot of things. So this will get us back on track, and it's probably that I can think of. It's the first time in recent history that we've actually had like a 5-year capital improvement plan. That really picks out stuff outside of the general budget and puts a clear path moving forward. So I think it's positive.
Yeah.
It separates the capital from the general budget. It doesn't make a ridiculous increase of general budget this year. I will say, from what was originally proposed to what we have now, I think is extremely good. I think we've cut a fair amount, but everybody's still getting what they need and not what they want, on both the school side and the town side. I feel good about this increase, although it is an increase. I think it's a realistic in needs versus wants increase, and then we have this capital improvement plan. So, that being said, do you have any? Yeah.
Bill, I know you can't answer the question because it's a joke question mostly. Does he think he can get 8 million spent and actually done correctly?
Yes, because that was actually vetted at a Board of Finance meeting, I believe, too, because and I'm actually guilty of this sometimes too. People generally think, well, we've got our maintainers out there who are doing all the paving. That's actually not the case. Although our maintainers do a lot of paving,
we do get contractors.
We actually hire contractors in. For example, on I believe it was Fabian Road, which was incredibly long overdue. That was done by a contractor. So Joe was actually in the meeting. I'm sorry to laugh, but Joe was in the meeting when this was brought up. And I think it was Steve Herbert asked the same question, and Joe was emphatically nodding.
I know I'm sure he could. It's more, that's a big number.
Right.
Are we making up for the lack of the previous 5, 6, 7, 8 years because we've been making cuts to that? And I know we have a road improvement plan that we're trying to match up with.
Right.
In which we have a meeting, myself and Joe Tasek. We've met with our third party
Yeah.
consultation company.
Mhm.
I met with them when I first got elected. Just an introductory, who we are, what we do, what our technology is, where you stand. We do have a meeting with them. Subsequently, it was supposed to be on Friday, but due to some unfortunate passings of town residents,
Yeah.
we were tied up.
Yeah.
So that being said, we have a meeting with them. I know, and I can publicly say this because I know it's on the list, is that Bonnet Acres in Indian Inn, that whole area will be resurfaced, full thickness resurfaced. That was on last year's paving that
Yeah,
got cut.
I'd say I figured they'd do last year.
Sections of Aquatic Town Farm Road we're on, especially we're from Sandam Road to Buck Hill Road. And then subsequently down near I believe,
Yeah.
we'd love to do
No
the
worries.
full thing, but
Yeah.
yeah, so we're definitely going through that and meeting with them
Yeah,
this
we have-
week.
If we have a rough summer, whatever, for whatever reason, would we push it out? Some of it,
Yeah,
obviously.
we can, yeah, so this is
part of the-
up to 8 million.
Yeah.
That being said, if we can, obviously we're gonna stretch this as long as we can, but we're not gonna just pave roads to pave roads.
Right.
It'll be just absolutely critical need, what I call red area, or they have this LiDAR technology
Yeah.
that maps every
I
road.
was at that meeting to view it, so I understand what they did.
The other thing I'd like to see though, in the road maintenance is some kind of, crack sealing program.
Yeah, and then we do that, yeah, yep.
Because that's
yep.
gonna save our roads
Yep.
immensely,
Yep.
because we haven't done that in past years.
And
We need to do
and
that.
to add some light to that, this part of that, we say paving, but I'm most definitely positive that when we say paving, we are using that term fairly loosely. The crack sealing, hot in place, all that is on the table. So yes, there are some other things that will be utilized too.
And
Absolutely.
none of that includes Main Street because of the grant, correct?
No, none of that includes Main Street or the area in front of the Memorial Park or the new traffic circle that will go in where Main meets Riverside, because that is all going to be completely grant funded, and that has been secured to the tune of, I believe, 4.2.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's good. A little bit will cover the town hall parking lot, about 97,000. We did receive a 50% match grant that should be signed on soon. But in order to get that 50%, we need the other 50%. And what that's going to do is it takes some points off, because we have to disconnect from our stormwater management that goes into the French River. So we get some credits there. That is a state mandate that we need to have. So it will improve grade of the town hall, improve handicap spaces, and it will resurface and redo our sidewalks at the town hall too, which I don't know if anyone has gone outside to look at the parking lot, but it might as well be dirt. So that being said, I'd like to move forward with taking action on this tonight. And then what we can do is we can take a vote, and then we can put it to town meeting, because ultimately it's the people's choice. And the people can come out in town meeting and vote on this very issue. And I think that's ultimately what needs to happen. So I'll entertain a motion for a sum of money if anyone wants to make it.
And that's a sum of $12 million.
Yes.
$12 million, for, capital expenditures to be determined. Because this is a
Preliminary, temporary.
right. It's an ever changing list. So that would be my recommendation too.
So Larry, just to clarify, you are making a motion to bond up to a $12 million and push that to a town meeting to be determined.
Yes.
I will second that. Any further discussion before we take a vote on that?
Can we have a decent list so the townspeople can see it by the time we go to vote?
Yeah, part of the reason
Absolutely.
that the list is still preliminary is because we're still getting prices on a few of the projects.
I'm sure the school's got a couple other things that they'd like to maybe toss in there to prioritize if possible.
They have the cameras in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some
Couple things.
questions about lockers and painting of the hallways. I had conversation with the chair regarding that.
Cafeteria stuff that they're dealing with and whatnot, that I know they might wanna toss in there.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't see that, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
see the calf,
Yep.
serving line in there.
So, yeah, we'll definitely, but, okay, showing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye, unanimous. Thank you. We'll move that forward. All right, next is gonna be proposed ordinance, dog control and leash requirements. The animal control officer was supposed to present on this. I know that they're in the building. Hopefully they're gonna come in and do a little Q&A. Oh, I'd already sent a text message. Oh, they're probably in Zoom on the next office and in my office, so I'm sure they'll be down. Yeah, like here. All righty. All right, the hot seat. So we have a proposed ordinance change. Brianna, our wonderful animal control officer lead, is gonna be here for a little Q&A session for us. But the proposed ordinance that we're looking to propose and we'll take action on tonight, if so, will be an ordinance on pretty much leash requirements and removal of feces and some vaccination stuff. So I'm going to turn it over to Brianna. She can quickly present on this. Hit the highlights. You don't have to be word for word, but hit the cliff notes of what you're looking to push forward.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. Virtually and in person. My name is Brianna, as I was introduced. And I've been here for a year and a half and talking to people in town, within the schools, different agencies, departments. And it seems to be a universal problem about loose dogs. Thompson's set up in a way where I can't go out and chase loose dogs. They get to the dam faster than I can. They can get to Messier faster than I can, and they can get from Mountain Hill Road to Catapult Road faster than I can. So I'm trying to change that and keep everybody in mind and keep things safe. I have drafted leash ordinances based off Cromwell, who is a similar town stature to us, size-wise. The only thing that we have different is that we are more of an agriculture based. So I'm trying to appease to the farmers too with this. And I'm not really going to go over the definitions. This is only pertaining to dogs. This does not pertain to cats, does not pertain to livestock. The keeper is anybody that is responsible for that dog at that point in time. It may not be the owner of the dog. It is the person that is responsible for the dog at that point in time, will be the one accountable for the infraction. There is not a leash law in Connecticut. It is a direct control or leash only. And direct control should be Fluffy, come sit, and Fluffy should be at your side before you even finish speaking. And that is not the case in Thompson. Specifically the dam, the airline trail, Riverside Park, Aquatic. These are hot spots where dogs are frequently loose. They are biting people without provocation. There have been 3 dogs that have been killed by cars in the past year and a half because they've been loose. I've had numerous chicken complaints of dead chickens, injured livestock after the fact, and this can be prevented by proper leash management. So the running at large is no owner shall allow a dog to run at large within the town of Thompson. A dog shall be deemed at large if it is off the premises of the owner and not under control. And it does not mean a retractable held by a kid. It has to be 6 feet or less under control. This requirement is crucial in Thompson's rural setting with its limited roads and high traffic speeds that increase danger to unrestrained dogs and drivers. The leash requirement, unless otherwise accepted, all dogs should be restrained by a leash when off property, including on highway, right-of-way, public land, parks, and any private property not owned by them. Any person walking or controlling a dog shall promptly remove and properly dispose of all feces deposited by the dog. The maintenance man and I will be going out in the early spring when I'm back and setting up all the stations. He did set up one, and then the weather turned quicker than he anticipated. I believe he has about 5 or 6 poop stations he's going to set up, and I have the bags to help fill that. And that is actually because the department head came to me and said there's problems at parks with dogs pooping, and how do we fix this? License and vaccination is already the state regulations. Those are the ones I can enforce. All dogs have to be vaccinated and licensed with the town of Thompson over 6 months. I am getting an influx of certificates recently. I've now had the vets send me out all their rabies certificates of dogs that come in and see them. And from that, town clerk will filter out, pull out the duplicates or renewals. And from October to February, I've sent out 100 new dog letters of dogs that I never knew existed in Thompson. So I'm trying to get back, make sure everybody is fully on board with the vaccination and licensing. It's cheaper than McDonald's. The exceptions with the leash law will be for hunting activities that's approved and authorized. Any of the trials or working events at the dam or working farm dogs actively engaged in agricultural duties on their property. Dogs within a fenced-in dog park or specifically off-leash area and in their vehicle. And obviously on their own property, fenced in, own property with them is not a concern. It's just the dogs that run on Riverside, on Church Street, Liberty Lane, all the loose dogs. Nuisance annoyance is already in place, saying that is the state law. The impoundment, I try and deter from impoundment as much as possible because I get a fast retention rate. I get photos of all the dogs are loose and I reach out to the owner and be able to place them pretty quickly. But with this leash law, anybody that's found, whether they're impounded or not, if I get evidence that that dog is loose and I can trace it back to that owner, there will be an infraction issued. The violation and penalty, starting off at no more than $75 for the first offense. Anything that's unpaid after that is a $7 fine. After 7 days, an equal amount to the fine shall immediately become due and payable. The concern with the state laws is that funding for that, when tickets are issued, it only goes back to the state. So we're trying to get some money back into Thompson and have things be more proactive for the animal owners. Then these ordinances will have these fines coming back into Thompson. Each day a separate offense, same with like police. If your dog's loose tomorrow, it's gonna be the same thing if it's loose the next day. The enforcement will be by myself, by per diem, and all the rangers have sat down and discussed and they're fully on board. I've talked to NCON, I've talked to the rangers at Aquatic and at the dam, and they're willing to support and stand by anything that we're putting in place. Being the town operation says quite a lot that they want our help and that this is a big problem. The enforcement, like I said, will be us, the severity, then, yeah.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I just want to commend you for the hard work that went into this. Brianna's been working with me and obviously has taken the lead on putting this forward to the townspeople to act on in the Board of Selectmen, obviously. Seems like a very common sense approach to off-leash dog problem in 2026. I know in every municipality that I worked for in Worcester County, each municipality had a leash law and they had leash laws for years, decades.
Right. You were amazed that when you took this position, I said that Connecticut doesn't have it.
Yeah, I was amazed because Brandon and I had met with Army Corps of Engineers, their Ranger program. In their biggest concern of public safety threat down there is off-leash dogs. It is like right where Messier Road comes out. There's a parking area, and the amount of people that walk dogs down there off leash is obscene. In between dog bites and dog fights, and it's a problem. And I think this for the people of Thompson, this should be a very simple, clear approach to just a very, very logical, so to say.
It's been kind of tough for everybody to figure out because Thompson is broke down to private, public, federal, and state property. So first selectman and I sat down with the rangers to figure out exactly that. That is the issue: is who handles what in regards to animals and complaints. Because I was told I only handle the bites because it's state property, it's federal property, it's private property. So I'm only handling bites. But talking to the agents and officers in these capacities, they are letting me have that say of this is what needs to be in place for the town, and not so much like just doing the bites. That if it's because the rangers are not trained for animal handling. The rangers at Aquatic and the dam do not handle animals, and we all assume that they do, and they are not trained. The railroad is a private entity, but if somebody gets bit, it's still something that has to be handled. So it's more this is trying to get all the awareness because nobody knows from public, private, federal, and state who to call when there's an issue, and it says this should not be an issue anymore. I do have some, in case there's any questions, I know that this is a strong agricultural community, and that is what I'm trying to focus on, is I want to keep the farmers and the kids safe. Prime example this morning, my kid was at the bus stop this morning, texted me and said he almost got bit by a dog. A dog jumped through a fence and came after him. And that would be a problem at the bus stop. So we want the kids to feel safe. We want everybody in the area to feel safe and not feel like I'm targeting. This isn't because I've gotten one specific complaint. This isn't because there's an ongoing issue with somebody. This is, as First Selectman and I said, we've sat down.
Daily.
It's daily. I've talked to multiple agencies who have problems with it, multiple departments who have problems with it. And just trying to figure a way to get everybody on board and not be a problem anymore.
Any questions?
This comes down to dog owner responsibilities.
Correct.
Okay, and people need to be safe, feel safe when they're walking down the street. I was at LV's last Friday and there was a dog running up and down Riverside, you know, not on a leash, of course, and
Right,
you know, finally there's a car that comes and gets the dog
right,
after it was weaving in and out of traffic. So,
right.
no, people need to take responsibilities for their dogs.
Absolutely.
And be cognizant of them and give them the respect that they should have to.
Because like I was speaking to Jeff about this, and he said if he's walking his dog at the dam on a leash, and there's a problem dog that runs up and bites his dog, and his dog retaliates, that's still a problem.
Yeah.
And his dog is now quarantined, even though he was the leash dog.
Yep.
And that's where it comes down to, is that
So I'm gonna make a motion to adopt an ordinance concerning dog control and leash requirements and put that to town meeting at a date to be determined. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
Jeff Bolte with the second. Do we have any discussion before we take a vote on this?
You've got some great Q&A questions here. When this goes to town meeting, I would have this available.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll make both of these
We'll
documents.
put that online
Yes.
as well.
Yep.
Yeah, so that, you know,
And so people understand, if an owner calls and says, my dog is missing, there's not repercussions or consequences on that action. That's them reaching out and saying, my dog is missing, I need help. But if I get a call from Susie Smith and says, your dog is pooping in your yard, that's when there's gonna be that problem.
Yep. I think that's extremely good to state the differences between that.
Absolutely.
Because this isn't necessarily a way of enforcement, it's a way of education, it's a way of changing mindset.
Right.
This isn't a way of necessarily policing people if
No.
they have an emergency.
No, I'm not looking to patrol. Thompson's too big demographically for me to patrol all the hotspots. If I was to drive from Quadic to East Thompson to Quinnebog, it takes me 2 hours to do loops of all the hotspots.
Yep.
I'm not looking for problem dogs.
the last question I have is the fines that are implemented. What happens when you get the reluctant dog owner that refuses to pay that fine?
Well, the $92 is state issued. That's a ticket that goes right to the Connecticut State Police.
Okay.
So they can debunk that all they want, but even now,
Okay.
if somebody comes forward, like a situation, I had to issue a $900 ticket, I had evidence of the dogs being loose. And multiple evidence. I had videos, I have photos, and I tell everybody that the initial complaint says, yep, let's get on the same page, let's address this. If this is passed, there's no more initial warning. Because this is the warning that we've now I've been here for a year and a half, we've kind of all been dealing with loose dogs, there's no more written warnings. It's gonna be that $75
I
fine,
just want to make sure that people know
oh,
that
yeah,
they're gonna be held
oh, absolutely,
responsible, and that this doesn't just go away.
no, yep,
The fines.
absolutely,
Okay.
So we'll have, just to clarify, there will be a town in-house fine.
yep,
And they are still subject to any applicable state
right,
fines.
Okay, yeah, because the ordinance states that, not more than 75,
Right.
that's for the
Yep.
town fine.
That's
Yes.
what the town.
Right.
Alright.
yep, that is only for the town. The state fees start at 92.
Well, I
And-
saw it in the FAQ and I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
we're seeing a little difference here.
Yep,
so,
and I can
yeah.
clarify that too
Yep.
on the other one. But yeah, I mean, the ticket I can issue potentially for roaming, nuisance, unlicensed and unvaccinated. For 2 dogs, you're looking at $1,000.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, all those in favor to move this on to town meeting for an ordinance vote,
Aye.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous ayes. That passes to go to town meeting.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank
I
you for your
appreciate.
hard work.
Thank you. Do you want me to bring her in?
She is on the agenda for more, maybe like
Couple more.
10 minutes.
Okay.
Ish.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right, next is approval of legal notice special town meeting bonding. Here. Before we take any action on this, I'm gonna just have you guys look over this folder and peruse that.
Is careful to place our transformers in areas where.
Took care of that. Watch as I'd love to be watching TV right now. And then we'll take action on that, once the other two selectmen have read that. And then,
This was in our packet.
Yeah.
it is, I just wanna make sure you see the original document
Yeah.
in its entirety in its packet.
Sure.
And then we have another one that we'll take action on.
Okay.
So the first one is actually gonna be for the bonding, the second is going to be for the, what's it? Town meeting and referendum.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
And then the applicable language there. Marie, do you have anything for us before we?
This, you were right, this did need to be done when you get to
Thank you,
planning and zoning.
thank you. The magic behind the curtain, remind you. Which I don't know where I would be without
Lost
Marie.
without her.
Marie, for everyone in the Zoom room, is my administrative assistant who comes in and gives 110% every day. And I would be lost without her, so, that being said. I'll entertain a motion for approval of legal notice of special town meeting bonding first.
I'll make the motion.
Jeffrey Boldy with the motion, do I have a second? Ari Consiglo with the second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous, that passes. If you guys wanna sign that,
Sign on the right line this time.
yes, yes, please sign on the right line this time, and if you mess up, it's okay, we can always get another one.
I appreciate it.
No worries. I'll sign that too. We will just get it done. All right, that one is first. Okay, next is going to be legal notice of annual town meeting and referendum.
That is for what April?
It's looking for, say that again?
April 15th.
Yes. Yep, that was on the bond. Yep,
Make a motion to accept.
motion, Larry Consiglo has the motion for, town meeting and referendum.
I'll second.
Jeffrey Bolte with the second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous, that passes. Okay, next we'll move on. So next is gonna be a special town meeting and annual town meeting referendum flyers distributed transfer station, town hall, library, social media. Before we get going there, I do have the official notice that we just approved for you guys to sign. Supposed to approve that. Just read it real quick before you sign it.
So now,
Yeah, I just wanna make sure that we, you know,
Make sure, yeah.
nothing like the original. So. Alrighty, yeah, I'm gonna put in this. Perfect. All right, next, if you guys could look at, this is gonna be all of the, referendum flyer, meeting notice, stuff like that, that distribute town hall, transfer station, library, social media.
Yeah.
Just give that a quick
No.
peruse, and then I'll take them.
These half sheets or they combined?
There are half sheets. One will go out initially for the special town meeting
Yeah.
for the bonding, and then the other one will go out later and there'll be half sheets.
Okay.
I did do a full sheet as well in case you want the whole legal notice to go out, but we typically do a summary.
No, it was more just to see if we were putting them both together or not, which I figured not because they're separate,
Yeah.
but just to make sure.
Yeah. And additional information from Bill can be added to the one.
Make sure you don't
Bonding.
confuse those
Yeah.
two folders.
I got them all here. We're good.
You can. Alrighty, I'll entertain a motion for all of those, documents to be distributed forthright.
I'll make the motion to contribute
Okay,
at all appropriate places.
and I'll second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Marie, I'm gonna have you take these two folders. Hopefully we don't let those papers, you know, always get anyway.
I was
I
trying.
did that legal notice up and I put it in the top one, you'll see.
Okay.
All right, new hire. Let's see.
I'll bring her in.
Yeah, please do.
Oh, Wayne.
Yeah, so when I first took this seat last year, we had budgeted approximately $1,800 for assistant animal control officer. Now, little backstory here. Nicole, you can take a seat right there. So, little backstory here in the assistant animal control officer. In my first week here on the job, everyone knows that the first selectman holds many hats. And I found myself, because Brianna was away, which, right, there's no person who can work 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's not a reasonable expectation.
Right.
So Brianna had gone away for the weekend and I found myself at 8 o'clock at night in the pouring rain, subsequently looking for a dog in Thompson over near Riverside Pizza. And I was calling out to a stuffed animal next to a clothes drop-off bin that was subsequently not a dog, it was a stuffed dog. And I came in on Monday, this was a Friday night on my first week on. And I came in and I said, listen, I have many hats here, but I can't wear every hat. And I said, it's not logical, you know, to think of this as an expectation for Brianna, for anybody. I said, it's a specialized role. It's a quasi law enforcement role. And I had pulled Bill Steglitz aside and I said, Bill, do we have any money in the budget for XYZ? He goes, so it's funny you ask. Last year in our budget process, we allocated a small sum of money to hire a part-time or assistant animal control officer. So we immediately posted, we interviewed a couple of fantastic candidates. We landed on one and we do have an appointment tonight. But I want to introduce Nicole Raymond. She's here with a fair amount of experience, both in animal and majority human. You know, so Nicole, if you want to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself and we're gonna appoint you tonight then.
Okay, so I'm Nicole. I have, well, I'm going on 12 years of animal rescue experience. Worked in some vet med stuff, both like primary vet and then emergency vet. Primarily, I have worked in healthcare, UMass in the emergency room for the last 10 or so years also. So I have quite the experience between both of those two jobs. Nothing really scares me. So yeah, that's kind of just where I'm at.
So I do have a resume and a couple of letters of recommendation here. Like I said, you did interview fantastically. I did make the move forward to hire you, and you have taken your pre-employment physical and passed. If you guys have that, you're more than happy to look at any of the applicable paperwork. Nicole does live about 10 minutes south of here in Danielson, so her response time will be pretty fantastic. She'll be able to fill the gaps where Brianna cannot fill in her absence. So we're excited to have you. And I will entertain a motion for appointment of, well, no. I don't need to entertain the motion of appointment. This is, you know. Does anybody have any questions for Nicole?
No, welcome aboard.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
All
So
right.
happy to be here for
Yeah. Thank you so much, and we appreciate your skill that you bring to the table, and we look forward to you growing within the town of Thompson and taking on more
Definitely.
responsibility. Nicole's going to be going through the ACO Academy, which is put on by the state of Connecticut, hopefully in September, October. So this will further just strengthen our position in animals, in animal welfare and safety. And it is still, even with 2 animal control officers, a bargain compared to NECOG, which is, I think, a good takeaway. And we have people who are in town who care about what we are, they're bought into the mission, and I think that's really important.
I think we have more control over it also.
Yep, most definitely. So, yeah, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
All right, next is TMHS project graduation. They request for project graduation fundraiser at the transfer station, April 25th and May 9th, 2026, from 8 AM to 3 PM. Do I have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Jeffrey Bolte with the motion to accept. I'll give that a second. All those, we'll have this discussion first. Any discussion on this matter?
The dates are open, so they're good to go.
Yeah, I think so too. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Perfect. All right, next, we're getting through it. All right, so now we're moved on to appointments. First appointment, here we are. All right, appointment, Scott Lapworth, Planning and Zoning Commission, alternate. Do I have a motion for that?
I will make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Do we have this discussion?
I had the pleasure to meet Scott, last week. Comes with, some construction background, he had his own business. He's gonna make a great addition to planning and zoning.
I agree. Good group, and it is now a even better group.
Yep.
Jeffrey, anything on that before we take it?
Yeah, it's nice to be filling some seats that are open.
Yes. Ain't that the truth? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, unanimous. If you guys could applicably sign on the lines. And then once you're done with that, you put it face down in that folder. Thank you. All right, we have 2 reappointments. Miss Gloria Harvey, Recreation Commission, and Mr. David Santier, Recreation Commission.
You need a motion or we already?
I need a motion for reappointment.
I'll make the motion to reappoint Gloria Harvey and David Santier to the Recreation Commission.
I'll give you the second.
Second.
Any discussion before we take a vote?
Nope.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, unanimous, that passes. All right, a couple of resignations. Board of Finance, David Johnson, and Conservation Committee, Judy Rondo. I just want to thank them both for their service with town of Thompson. For the first gentleman, Dave Johnson, he's been on the board or was on the board for 22 years. So I just want to say the significance of that term, and how productive that 22 years were. I just want to thank that gentleman for his service. I think it's a long time to be on a board. And I thank him for everything he's done for the town of Thompson. And the same with the second. I don't have a time as far as how long Judy was on for, but nonetheless, anybody who steps up to be on a board or commission, it's highly commendable. And I very much appreciate that. So we do have those in the record as being read in.
Just to comment on Dave Johnson. Not only was he on Board of Finance, he's also, on, building committees. I served with him. He always has the best interest of Thompson. In his many years of services, doesn't go unrecognized.
Definitely. He's been a stalwart in the town and,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah,
been very active for a long time.
yep. Well, thank them for their service. Appreciate that. Next up, other business. I do not have any other business.
I do not even.
Yep, good. Okay. Last but not least, our final citizen comments. Citizen comment. We'll do in person first, and then we'll go to Zoom. Sorry, yeah.
Bill Steiglitz, 101 Spicer Road, just a very quick word of thanks to Dave Johnson. An absolutely incredible middle school principal, in my time at Thompson Public Schools as a student. And, an absolutely terrific member of the Board of Finance, incredibly well-versed in the town's finances. I will greatly miss my discussions with him both in the finance office, where he'd stop by once or twice a month, and also at the Board of Finance meetings. Thank you, Dave.
Thanks. Any other citizen comments in the room? Sir, if you want to come up. 3 minutes this time.
Hey, Brian, 108 Fabian Road. I want to congratulate you guys on the idea of doing that bonding. But I mean, Paul and Ken, for the longest time, they talked about a 10-year bond issue, which I think is the smart thing to do. That way there, you got enough money to keep things going. But I mean, I'm hoping this is what, just 5 years, is it?
Right now, the repayment period is actually 15.
15.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean.
And that's a balance of, well, just like when you're considering any borrowing, trying to balance the debt service every year.
Correct.
against the
Understandable.
lifespan of the items you're purchasing.
But I really do want to congratulate you on that. I think that's a wonderful idea. I mean, I think the town needs a 1-year plan, a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, and a 10-year plan, maybe a 15-year plan. You know, because guess what? Funding is the key to this whole thing. And I mean, I just think it's wonderful. And you're right. I met Dave Johnson a few times. He's a wonderful man. He always was dead serious. And I mean, he tried to tell the other members, we shouldn't be doing this, or, yeah, okay, we can do this, you know. But I mean, he was always looking out for the town. So I hope he's doing well and he's going to be enjoying life. I hope. So that's all. You guys have a good one.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. All righty. Any other comments within the room? Okay. All right. We'll go to the Zoom room. Ms. Valerie Clark, if you want to go first, followed by Sally White.
Valerie Clark, Elm Road. Unfortunately, I've collected a number of comments through this meeting tonight. The first I'll start with is echoing Bill Steiglitz regarding Dave Johnson. Very pleasant, smart, impressive, dedicated to the town, and had that beautiful balance of knowing what went into the school and what it really needed against the finances. And I personally am going to miss having him on the Board of Finance. As for Judy, I'm sorry that you didn't have the background on Judy. She also has indeed a long history of service to this town. Before Inlands, Wetlands, and Conservation Commission had to be split, she served on the Inlands, Wetlands. I would say she has equal tenure, at least, to Dave Johnson. And I wish that someone had provided that background in terms of her resignation. She will also be missed. She was a great asset. Working down my list, I'll go backwards. The dog ordinance, I appreciate the problems. I too understand some of the concentrated problems at the dam and in other areas. However, I think there are circumstances that were not fleshed out enough, let's just say. And one of my most pleasant memories at the dam was, I believe, last summer. I went to eat lunch at the dam, and there was this lovely lady who had 3 dogs who were off-leash trained, and she was training them for field trials at the dam. They were a joy to watch. My friend that I met there and I extended our lunch so that we could watch her training those dogs. They were off leash. That circumstance needs to be considered.
I believe that's in the ordinance. I don't mean to interrupt, but I believe field trial animals at the dam were an exemption.
I thought it was only when there was a field trial, so I think that needs to be examined. That was how I heard it when it was read. This was not during a field trial. This was, she goes there daily to train her dogs because that's a space that she can do that in. And it's a public space. Working back up the list on the roads for paving, I don't want to see another Spicer Road happen. That went from being a narrow country road to being at least another 50% wider. And now cars are racing on that road. And it makes it very difficult. And it was meant to be a country road. I would prefer to see us invest our money in the hazardous trees. And I will go on record as saying what I've said to the highway department members, which is I don't want to see a paving truck on Elm Road because it can go back to dirt and no problem. I also don't want to see one on my end of Baker Road because that can go back to dirt and stay dirt too. Save your money. Spend it somewhere where people want wide roads that people can race on and burn out on. And the other item was that I would like a visit to the garage. I'd like to see the equipment. I'd like an opportunity for not just me. This isn't me I'm asking for. I'd like a public showcase of seeing the equipment, discussing it, seeing the garage, the issues that we're funding. I think that we hear about it, but I don't think we can visualize what's happening. And that might be beneficial to the townspeople to have that opportunity and to learn more about what the highway department's doing for us. So
I think that's a great suggestion. Val, are you still there? I think.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were done. It just kind of stopped.
Oh, I said thank you and muted.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your comments. Sally White, you are up and good to go.
308 East Thompson Road. You read you approved the legal notices for several meetings, but I didn't catch the dates that are within the legal notice. Please.
The other selectmen are gonna look those up right now and give you those dates.
I got it. I haven't set it up. We're looking at Wednesday, April 1st for the town bonding town meeting at 7 p.m. at the community center, and the annual town meeting for the budget and other items Wednesday, April 15th. Referendum date of Wednesday, April 29th.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the just to add, because a lot of you are younger, but in reference to David Johnson, he spent decades on the Wetlands Commission when he was still full-time at the school and doing things after school. He was also a math teacher in the high school. He was also the vice principal of the high school before he was the middle school principal. And I believe his first year of teaching, practice teaching at least, was in 1960. And you mentioned that tomorrow morning, first selectman will be on WINY, and who will be there from the school?
I believe the board, I put the invite out to Melinda Smith and the Board of Ed Chair, Jess Bolte. I believe
I can answer that.
Jess Bolte is gonna be.
My wife Jessica will be on.
Attending.
Linda has a couple meetings that she has to be at.
And then I might also have our new animal control officer assistant on with me tomorrow too. So good ability to, or good opportunity to come and call up and ask questions.
I have a suggestion in the future, is that when you go there to speak, why don't you have a regular taxpayer there also?
I would love that. Love it.
And
Sally,
just to have some,
Yeah.
some add some spice to it, some give and take, and just talk about things a little bit, have some give and take. I think a regular taxpayer would be great, and not just the officials.
Sally, if you are interested or know anybody who's interested, reach out to me and we can set a date because I'd love to make that happen.
Okay, Nick, we'll talk. And I think there's one other very brief thing. Let me see here. Oh, the handouts that are going to be going to the transfer station and other places. If it's like a paragraph or a sentence or two, can one of you quickly read it, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. And then I'll allow you all to go home.
It's okay. It's still better than last night's meeting. Last night we were on till about midnight. It was the latest meeting I've done to date. Jeff Polte's gonna read that out for you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, basically it's similar to the legal notice. I'll go with the first one. Thompson Special Town Meeting, Wednesday, April 1st, 2026, 7 p.m. Thompson Library Community Center, 934 Riverside Drive, North Cloverdale. The legal notice of special town meeting shall be read to include resolve that the town of Thompson will issue bonds in the amount of $12 million for capital improvement projects. By issuing bonds for capital improvement projects, the town will be able to spend the cost of these items over multiple years while addressing pressing capital needs directly impacting revenues. The capital improvement projects being considered include a significant investment in paving town roads, a new roof for the DPW garage, purchase of road maintenance equipment, replacement of the heating system for the library community center, and security and facility improvements at the schools. The full legal notice is available at our website, thompsonct.org, and in the town's clerk's office. Questions, contact the town clerk. Number 2, Thompson Annual Town Meeting, Wednesday, April 15th, Library, 934 North Road, Riverside Drive. The legal notice of annual town meeting and referendum will be read. To summarize, that appropriations be that appropriations be made for the fiscal year 2026-27 budget in the amount of $33,909,938 to be voted on at the March 29th, 2026 referendum. Local capital improvement projects of $360,033 is approved. The Board of Selectmen is authorized to apply and receive state federal grants. Number 4, to adopt a proposed ordinance providing a cap on real estate property tax exemptions for veterans with service-connected permanent and total disability ratings. Number 5, to adopt proposed ordinance on dog control and leash requirements. The full legal notice, including the proposed budget, is available at our website and in the town clerk's office at the town hall. And then at the bottom, referendum, Wednesday, April 29th, 2026, noon to 8 p.m. The fiscal year 26-27 budget request, item 1, will be moved to referendum to take place Wednesday, March 29th, 2026 from 12 p.m. noon to 8 p.m. at all regular polling stations as listed in the full legal notice. Questions, contact the town clerk office.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Sally, any other comments or questions tonight?
All set. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you so much for your
Have a
questions.
good night, everyone.
All righty, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will, motion to adjourn.
Perfect. Everybody have a fantastic evening, and we will see you back in approximately 2 weeks. Mark your calendars and tune into Winnie tomorrow morning, 9 to 10. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.